Race fans, it's time for the most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome the governor of Kentucky, Steve Beshear, as he gives the command to start engines.
For the first ever NASCAR Sprint Cup race in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, the Quaker State 400, it's my pleasure to say, drivers, start your engines!
Time to turn NASCAR's fastest drivers loose for a run to the bluegrass. We're coming back for NASCAR on TNT. On a gorgeous night in the bluegrass, NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing on TNT, presented by KFC. Oh my, they couldn't have dialed it up any better than this. Check it out, 85 degrees, humidity at 56%, and things look great for the rest of the evening as we get set to go racing for the first time ever at the Kentucky Speedway. Hello and welcome again, everybody, with Kyle Petty and Wally Dallenbach. I'm Adam Alexander. So this is the first Sprint Cup Series race right here at Kentucky. We have established that. However, a lot of these drivers have been here before. So, Wally, what's it take to get it done here this evening?
Well, it's a mile and a half, and these guys run on a lot of mile and a halves. But this place is all going to be about handling tonight. This place is very bumpy and it's rough, and you'll hear the drivers talking about it. I think the guy that's going to win this race is the one that's going to be able to adapt through this race, make the changes. I think the crew's going to be really important tonight on this race. They're going to have to keep up with the track conditions.
Let's talk about experience. A number of drivers in this track have been here before, not in a cup car, obviously, Kyle. So how many dividends does that pay for them tonight?
I think it's huge. I think it's huge. You know, unlike when we went to Indy, unlike when we went to Chicago or Texas or some of the tracks that we went to for the first time, 30 plus of these drivers have raced either a truck or a nationwide car here. So they have experience. You look at a guy like Joey Logano. He's won 3 races here, 3 races in a row. So his confidence level coming back into a place like here is huge. Now, obviously, it's a cup car, totally different. The competition level's up over the truck series than the nationwide series. But I think it adds to for some of these guys. They have the experience. They've just got to transfer it to this level.
Confidence doesn't hurt either when you come to a venue for the first time in the Sprint Cup Series. The Coors Light, the official beer of NASCAR, is the proud sponsor of the Coors Light Pole Award, given to the fastest qualifier at each NASCAR Sprint Cup race. Yesterday's qualifying canceled here due to weather. Kyle Busch starting on the pole because he was fastest in practice here yesterday. As we anticipate the first race ever here at Kentucky Speedway, drivers in their cars making final adjustments. And each one of them has their eye on the big prize. They want the opportunity to put their name on the trophy for the first time here in the bluegrass. So you talk about inaugural races, and Jeff Gordon, the best in that category, winning the first at Indianapolis in '94. He did the same at Auto Club Speedway back in 1997. And the last time we christened a new track, 2001 at Kansas, Jeff Gordon won there as well. Now we take a look at tonight's starting grid. We told you qualifying rained out here yesterday. Actually got about 22 cars in, but it eventually washed out. Kyle Busch on the pole. Juan Pablo Montoya joining him on row 1. Row 2, Kurt Busch, top 10 finishes in all 4 mile-and-a-half races this season. And Casey Kane, 11 Cup wins, 6 coming at mile-and-a-half tracks. Then there's Jimmy Johnson, the best on mile-and-a-half facilities. Carl Edwards, David Reagan joining each other in row 4. Teammates, of course, Reagan winning last week for the first time in his career. Tony Stewart, not too far from home. He makes home in Columbus, Indiana, joined by Paul Menard in row 5. Row 6, you got Regan Smith and Marcus Ambrose. Ambrose still trying to get that first career win. Row 7, Jeff Gordon, a 4-time champion, and Matt Kenseth, who won on a mile-and-a-half earlier this season at the Texas Motor Speedway. Row 8, how about Martin Truex Jr., joined by Joey Logano. We talked about all of Driver 20's success here in nationwide competition. As you watch the rest of tonight's starting lineup, we hear from Joey. Kyle, what do you got?
Hey, Joey Logano, this is Kyle Petty in the TNT booth. You got me?
Yeah, 10-4, I got you.
Hey man, with all the success that you've had here in the Nationwide Series and just dominated this place, is this a place, knowing we were coming here for the first time, that you guys circled on your calendar?
Yeah, I think so. You know, us being able to do that tire test here really helped out a lot, and I was at that test day here and everyone getting the lap side here. I think it takes my advantage away quite a bit. The big thing is the tire is quite a bit different than what I've run here in the past, so it's changed the lineup on the racetrack a lot.
Yeah, you know, yesterday we heard you in one of the practices, and you're starting where you're starting, but I think you guys felt like you were going to be a little faster if you had gotten to qualify. But how rough is the racetrack? You talk about the tires. Is the Cup car that much different than the Nationwide car, along with the tires and the roughness of the racetrack?
Yeah, I mean, I think the tire itself is what's the biggest difference. You know, the racetrack is pretty bumpy, but, you know, I learned a lot here last night just with the tire and what I need to do inside the race car to help myself, and going to get the right information to Zip and the guys to give me the best Home Depot car possible here. So hopefully I can use some of that stuff we figured out last night to improve our car tonight.
All right, man. Good luck. We know you know the way to victory lane. We'll see you when this thing's over with.
All right, man. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Plenty of stories to tell up and down the pit lane, so let's make one last trip there. We begin with Chris Neville.
Well, in the last 2 months, Matt Kenseth has gone from 10th to 5th in the championship. Last weekend, he pushed his teammate to victory, and he's been one of the strongest drivers this year on mile-and-a-half tracks. I talked to crew chief Jimmy Finnick earlier today, and he said he's still scratching his head about the setup on the 17 car. Even though this is the car that won Texas and finished 2nd at Michigan, he said it just doesn't like the bumps here at Kentucky. He said it's either way too loose or way too tight. Matt?
Chris, it's already been a coulda, woulda, shoulda weekend for Brian Vickers. He was P1 in qualifying, and then the rain hit, and then qualifying was canceled. Reshuffled, he'll now roll off 27. The biggest item on his agenda is score a victory, trying to showcase his talent and score a ride for 2012. But the winning move may not be on the racetrack, but on top of the pit box, because talking to several different crew chiefs, the Goodyear tires are wearing so well, lack of give up, and I'll tell you what, we could see a lot of 2 and no tire stops this weekend. Ralph?
A lot of 4s working for Casey Kane these days. He was 4th a week ago at Daytona in the 400. He was 4th last night in the Nationwide race. And oh yeah, number 4 starts 4th tonight. But Larry McReynolds was hoping to be number 1 when it's all said and done.
Well, Ralph, we know to win this race here at Kentucky Speedway, it's going to take a fast, good handling race car. But don't rule out it might have something to do with this piece of equipment right here, the carburetor. How a driver treats it may be conserving fuel. Nobody on the circuit seems to be doing it better lately than Brad Keselowski. He did it at Kansas last month. He did it last night. And Marty Schneider is with the guy that may have to coach him to do it again, his crew chief, Paul Wolf.
They're certainly on top of their game when it comes to this. And Paul, if it does come down to fuel mileage, how confident are you in your guy? How top of the game is he with that right now?
Well, it seems like he does a pretty good job at it. He had to do it last night to get the win there in a Nationwide race. And everybody at Penske Engines has done a great job giving us power and fuel mileage. So if it turns into that, we feel like we're probably as good as anybody out here with the Miller Lite Dodge. So we're trying to keep this thing in the top 10 all night here and give a shot at the end.
They start 6th tonight, Adam.
Certainly a guy to keep your eye on tonight. Driver number 2, and now we get our race analysis for this evening's event. 400 miles, 267 laps, pit window just north of 50. Denny Hamlin changed an engine yesterday in practice. He goes to the rear, as does Dave Blaney for changing a transmission. A lot of anticipation about the first ever race here at Kentucky Speedway. It's finally arrived. We're less than a lap away. And you know, here at TNT, we like to do things different. Last week we gave you wide open coverage at Daytona. Tonight, if you weren't one of the lucky 107,000 people to get a ticket to this race, doesn't matter. We're glad you're with us on TNT, and we're going to make you feel like you're right here at the racetrack, because we've got 40 extra microphones around this mile-and-a-half facility, so you can hear exactly what the fans are hearing here at the Kentucky Speedway. It's Inside Tracks Enhanced.
Thank goodness there's no extra in the booth. True, just around the racetrack. But I am looking forward to hearing this. Packed house.
top. 3 wide through the bottom here. 78's in the middle, y'all. Middle lane's clear now, but all clear, buddy. All clear. Back inside. In. Still there. Still with you. Still there. Roadrunner coming back to you. Clear, clear. Clear, clear high, clear high. Looking low, you're inside trunk. High even with you, back even. Clear behind him, 106, clear high.
Things sounding good at the start of this race, and things feeling good for Kurt Busch.
We could be out
third
of
of the lead.
We could be out of a job. Okay,
We could. Yeah,
that sounds
okay.
pretty cool.
Okay. I'd like to sit at home and listen to that. That was really pretty good stuff right there.
They may be from Las Vegas, but the Busch brothers, Kurt and Kyle, making Kentucky their playground tonight. Kyle started on the pole. Kurt has grabbed the early lead and led the first 4 laps.
Yeah, Kurt made a pretty strong move right when the green flag dropped. He went down on the inside of Montoya and didn't take long to get him out front, but little brother's not letting him get too far away.
No, and you watch where these two guys run on the racetrack. We've heard a lot of drivers talk about the character of the racetrack or the bumpiness of the racetrack, whatever you want to call it. And they all said if you run high, you go above the bumps. If you run low, you're below the bumps. And watch where these two guys are. One's high, one's low. They're not running in the middle of the racetrack. And the middle of the racetrack seems to be the bumpiest part of the racetrack.
Matt, what's up with Kurt Busch?
Adam, when you take a look at the grill on the 22 of Kurt Busch, you can see he's got a white piece of debris covering up that bottom right-hand corner. His spotter, Chris Osborne, told him, keep an eye on your gauges. If that temperature does rise, don't be surprised. You see he and his brother swap spots to try to take some pressure off that grill and get rid of that debris, Marty.
Matt Noe along for Kyle Busch. This is kind of what he expected. I talked to him moments before he climbed in the car. He said, on Thursday, we actually worked on being better at the beginning of a run. He felt like we were almost too good late in a run. So they really worked hard on this portion, being good on sticker tires. But I think Kyle and Wally being good at the end of a run may pay dividends later.
No, I think that's really going to be the most important thing here tonight, Marty, is just do what you got to do to get to the end of the run. But I think you want to be at your best in the last, quarter of that run at this racetrack.
Yeah, these guys have talked all week. And remember, they came in here on Thursday, for you fans at home, they came in here on Thursday with a complete day of nothing but practice. So a lot of those guys did race stuff. That's all they really did. So I think the guys that understand the racetrack and where it's going to go, the long runs, and the guy that's most consistent over the whole run, not just at the first, is going to be your winner.
Good racing here, and we look at a replay right off turn 4. Ryan Newman, Jeff Gordon having a little contact.
That's a part of the racetrack where no matter if you're running too wide, the car wants to get to the same spot of the exit of the corner. That's just close racing. Good save by Jeff.
Yeah, and Ryan, coming off the flat of the racetrack, it's different than coming straight off the racetrack like Jeff was. Ryan got there, lost the nose, skated up into Jeff, and lucky that nothing happened.
Talk about drivers being good over the long haul. Tony Stewart really worked on dialing in his car on the long run yesterday. Right now, Smoke scored in the 10th position. Kurt Busch has led every lap, 9 complete at Kentucky. It's been a 2-man show in the early laps at Kentucky, and both men named Busch. Kurt started third, grabbed the lead on lap 1, and he has not given it up. Taking the top spot through the first 16 laps, and brother Kyle 0.3 of a second behind. Casey Kane, Jimmy Johnson, Juan Pablo Montoya, the top 5, as we work lap 17 of 267.
Yeah, this is probably the point really in the race where grip-wise is probably going to be the worst for these guys. I mean, as it cools off and the sun goes in, the track will get more grip. I'm sure some of these guys are probably wishing they had a lot more grip at this point, but this is the part where you got to hang on to that first pit stop, because I'm sure some of these teams are going to be making big swings as far as the chassis adjustments go.
And the track going to change as well, Kyle. A lot of sunshine right now, but we'll see darkness before this night is over, obviously.
I found it really interesting in Larry's tips and his keys to the race when Zippy said this is going to be like Charlotte. It's going to start as one racetrack, end as another racetrack, and you've just got to fight to keep yourself in that top 4 or 5 and have a position to do something at the end. I never thought about really this racetrack playing out that way.
Biggest mover of the race right there. Denny Hamlin, engine change, started at the tail. He scored in the 28th position, 19 laps in.
There, gap of 2 to the 00. All clear. Double zero running the bottom, looking inside, barely there. You are clear, you are clear. Gap of 8 back behind you. Inside by himself. All clear. Brake in it. Okay, 10-4.
And he's going to put a round of front brake in it, obviously, because he's probably a little bit loose getting in the corner. When he's touching the brakes a little bit, getting down in the corner, the car is getting loose. It's got too much rear brake, so that's why he's going to put a round of front brake in it, try to balance that out a little bit.
Had a lot of rain here yesterday, so the track schedule didn't allow these drivers as much practice time as what they would have liked. With that, NASCAR has told teams they will give them a competition caution at lap 30. We'll get that when we return. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Back at Kentucky Speedway, who do you think will win the inaugural Cup race at Kentucky? Cast your vote in the KFC opinion poll now, only at NASCAR.com. Just a few laps away from a competition caution. And Greg Biffle feeling aggressive early in this race. He's gone from 21st to 14th. New dad, he and wife Nicole this week adding Emma to the fray, and we congratulate them. And Larry, as we close on our competition caution, what do you anticipate here?
Well, I truly believe the drivers at the front of the pack, I think with being well over halfway through a fuel run, they will probably go with 4 fresh Goodyear tires. But don't be surprised to see some drivers that's back in the field. Go back to what Greg Zipadelli said. Need track position, may roll the dice, get her full of Sunoco race fuel, but maybe just right side tires trying to get some of that position.
You're going to have to make a pretty big swing at the chassis on those guys, aren't you, Larry? I mean, obviously, if you're back there, you're trying to get track position because you're not working. So if you're going to go with 2 tires, you're going to have to really make the right calls here on the changes to the car.
Yeah, honestly, Wally, I think I see a lot of drivers right now that's going to have to make a big swing at these race cars. I know Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, those guys up there, they look pretty solid right now, but I heard you guys talking during break. There's a bunch of drivers, they've got their hands full right now.
Yeah, you can see some of these guys are steering to the right at least once when they're getting down on the corners, which means the car's loose getting in.
Caution is out.
And there is the competition caution coming 30 laps into the 267 that make up tonight's event here at the Kentucky Speedway. Kurt Busch has led all 30 laps. Told you, Greg Biffle feeling aggressive early, Wally.
He goes to make the move on Logano, and you know, that wasn't anything intentional. It's just, I think he was just trying to cut it as close as he could and got into him just a little bit. Like Joey may got a little bit loose there too.
Yeah, and Biffle got back to the gas really, really quick and just closed that gap. You watch right here, Biffle picks up the throttle and Joey's there. There's nothing.
I think Joey got loose because you can see the flame come out of the exhaust pipe as soon as Biffle got in. So I think that's what really happened there.
First caution of the night, Michael McDowell, the first car 1 lap down. He receives the free pass from NASCAR. And there is nothing like being on pit road when cars come down the pit lane. It is a great sight to see, and certainly there are plenty of sounds that go along with it. So watch and enjoy.
$42.50. 42. I'm going to give you the 8 away. $42.50. 8 away. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get the grill, guys. Get the grill. 1, 2 tires. Go. Haul ass. Outside. Get it. Haul ass. Get it. When you leave, you're going to start.
Right side tires for a number of drivers. See the race off pit road. Casey Kane up 2 positions. Kurt Busch, the leader, dropped to 3rd. We reset the field when we return. NASCAR on TNT back at the Kentucky Speedway. We have just wrapped up a round of caution flag pit stops. The race leader when things started was Kurt Busch, but he had some problems getting off pit road.
Yeah, the pit stop was good. You'll see he had to maneuver around and through and kind of have to slow down for a couple guys, so he did lose a couple of spots.
Be ready. Go. 1 lane. Watch him right here. Still outside. Watch him to turn in. Outside. Clear to the grass. 42.50.
That is great stuff. And yes, pit road can be a busy place. Time now to take your shot at $1 million. Log on to NASCAR.com/TNT Million. Enter to win the $1 Million Fan Challenge. You pick the top 10 finishers in tonight's race in correct finishing order, and you could win up to $1 million. You got to lap 66 to get your picks in or make changes. We wish you the best of luck. And tonight's green flag restarts presented by American Ethanol. American grown, American made, powering NASCAR. Green flag goes back in the air as we complete lap 35. On the front row, Casey Kane and Kyle Busch.
Are you ready? Idea, green flag. One outside. Still there.
Wow. It's Kyle Busch who's led the race on a restart from the outside line and now has led the race from the inside line. So he's made both those restarts work no matter where he starts.
You better run hard now because that 22 looks like it's coming back to the front.
So let's recap what happened on that first cycle of pit stops, and we start with Chris Neville.
Well, as I said earlier, Jimmy Finnig wasn't so sure about the setup on the 17, but in that first 30 laps, Matt Kenseth went from 13th up to 9th, so that car working pretty well. He says early in the run it's a little bit loose, but then it gets tight, so they did make one air pressure change to the right rear, 2 tires on that car, but they lost 5 spots in pit lane. Jimmy Finnig thinking that other cars didn't take as much fuel. Matt?
Our TNT audio and video documented well just how tough it is pitting on the turn 4 side of pit road. You saw how Kurt Busch lost those couple spots. They made a track bar adjustment, and he said the tires aren't giving up like he thought they would, so don't go aggressive on the air pressure. He is trying to make his way back to the front route, settling in 3rd.
Matt, the number 4 of Kasey Kahne's a little tight on entry, so they put a ½ pound in the right rear tire, gave him 2 fresh tires on the right side of the car, and raised a track bar 1 round to try to help deal with that handling issue. Marty?
Ralph Kyle Busch came in second, left second, but it didn't take him long to take the lead. All they did on this stop, it was 2 tires all the way, but he was a little too free, especially getting into 3, quarter round down on the track bar, Adam.
And he's feeling good about his race car right now, Marty, because he just went up to the runner-up position around Kasey Kahne, and Jimmy Johnson picking on the 4 car as well. He goes to the inside for 3rd. All of this behind Kyle Busch, who has opened up a lead of 0.6 of a second since the restart.
And these guys have been right here. These guys have been pretty much trying to wreck each other here for the last 3 or 4 laps. They went 4 wide coming across the start-finish line a couple laps ago, and Newman slid up and Gordon came down. Here we go, and look at this. They just go 4 wide here, and as they go through 1 and 2, there's not enough racetrack. Guys are sliding all over the place, so this has been pretty good racing back here.
And we've already seen Newman in the 24, and I think that was a little bit of, okay, you've done it to me once, and now you're on my bumper again, banging on my rear bumper. And Jeff just kind of checked up or whatever, got him bunched up, and now he's driven away from the 39.
How does the 24 feel about the exchange, Ralph?
Well, he's having a rough night out there, Adam. He said he has been sideways on entry into the corner. Says way off in the handling department, very loose in, plowing through the middle. They gave him 4 tires and adjusted the wedge and the air pressure to try to help things get balanced out for that number 24, Jeff Gordon. But boy, he's got his hands full early on here tonight.
I think his teammate, rock solid. Jimmy Johnson up there challenging the 22 of Kurt Busch, and we know how good Kurt was in the first 30 laps of this race. Also got to give a nod to Denny Hamlin. Engine change. How about plus 19 positions? He's up to 21st.
I'll tell you another guy I've been kind of keeping an eye on here is the guy in 5th place, Carl Edwards. He's been cranking out some really good laps. Even before the pit stop, he was making his way forward, so don't count him out.
1.5 miles have been good to him. 10 times he has won at these kinds of tracks. We talked about Denny Hamlin, Dave Blaney, Dale Jr., David Rudiman, Kevin Harvick, all double digits in the plus column when you look at the positions they've gained tonight. Another guy that we should mention, Brad Keselowski, good in practice yesterday. Started in the top 10, and he's hanging there. He won the last 1.5 mile race a couple of weeks ago at Kansas.
Well, 48 has hands full there, getting down on the bottom, trying to look for anywhere that the 22 isn't running to see if he can get any kind of advantage. But he got a little bit loose down there, gathered it up. And that's the hard thing about down there in 1 and 2 with that bump. You know, you can't follow somebody through there.
And Jimmy's car is really good. You see, some of these guys are talking about being free getting in the corner. You see Jimmy kind of roll out of it, get to the bottom and pick up the gas, and he closes right there. He's really good right through the center, but when you're running that high line, the momentum you have carries you down the straightaway.
How's Jimmy feel about it, Matt?
One of the biggest hinders for Jimmy and so many other drivers tonight, that entry into turn 3, flat and bumpy, upsets the race car. Jimmy said the car is really good down in turns 1 and 2. So Chad Canals went back to his playbook from practice. He made a track bar adjustment and only took on 2 tires. It helped the car in practice. They're expecting the same here tonight.
And that's one thing, and we've talked about it before, Kyle. The worst thing for a race car driver is being loose getting into the corner. You can deal with tight in the middle, even loose in the middle, loose off. But when a car is loose getting in, it's a handful.
It is
hard to save.
It's hard to save because that's where the car is freest. You're turning in, you're putting steering input into it. The car is flattening, the racetrack's flattening out, and the car kind of has no feel at all to it when you get there. And if anything goes on, you don't know which way to turn the wheel to catch up to it.
sometimes you can't. When you're loose getting in, it's hard to keep up with it.
Carl Edwards lost the point lead last week, but I agree with Wally. He's feeling good here tonight. The confidence flowing as he closes on Casey Kane for 4th in the running order. No issues for driver 18. He's got a 2-second advantage. Kyle Busch out front at Kentucky.
But the Jackman and the Gasman did not get that call right there. Now, we know all year long the Richard Petty Motorsports cars, they've not been getting the greatest fuel mileage. These drivers are getting about 4 miles to the gallon, which equals about 2.5 laps per gallon. If they're 5 gallons shy, they're going to have to pit about 10 to 12 laps earlier than the other drivers that's full. They'll be coming somewhere around lap 82 to 84. Marcus Ambrose probably around lap 70.
Larry, you mentioned the gas man and the jack man didn't get that. You know, and the driver is trained to go when the car is dropped. You know what I mean? When the jack man drops it. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, the jack man is the key to the driver leaving. That's when Marcus Ambrose will go. Unless he's been told to wait on a verbal signal, his signal to go is when that car drops, and that's exactly what he did. Marcus Ambrose did right. It's just the jack man and the gas man, I don't think they heard the audible that Todd Parrott called for 2 tires.
No doubt about it. Communication always key.
About 8 to Tony now, these guys waiting. Clear about 4, clear about 4. You're running dead on the bottom.
Riding on board with Paul Menard. He's been good in 10th. Nobody as good as Kyle Busch. His advantage right now, 3.3 seconds.
Counselor?
I don't get paid. I don't work.
But you gonna count it?
Just did.
A lawyer with a past. He's about to face a case he can't afford to lose. Matthew McConaughey, The Lincoln Lawyer. Get it July 12th.
What is that?
Oh, we call it the bundler. Let's say you need home and auto insurance. You give us your information once online. And we give you a discount on both.
So like 2 in 1. How did you guys think of that?
It just came to us.
What?
Bundling and saving made easy. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
Real fruit means real fruit smoothies from McCafe. Real delicious and made just for you.
If you're looking for a pickup truck, check out the miles per gallon.
Welcome back to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing in Kentucky, presented by KFC. And Kyle Busch laying it on him. He's got a 2.9 second advantage, and now it's time to check in on the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew Award. Here's a look at the standings following last week's race. Paul Menard out front. Text the car number for the pit crew you think will average the least amount of time on pit road in today's race to 234-567. AT&T, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network, is getting faster with 4G. While we were away, Marcus Ambrose had to come down under green. It was all a part of that fueling issue that we documented a moment ago under inside tracks.
Yeah, and I want to show you what happened. You know, we heard the little piece that we played from the inside tracks here. Watch the gas man. The gas man is in this car. During the commercial, he only holds the gas can in for 4 or 5 seconds. He thinks he's going to get a chance to fill it with the second. 4 or 5 seconds, a can drums in probably 8, 9 seconds. So really, he only got half a can, which is only 4 or 5 gallons of fuel.
But either way,
yeah,
even if he got that whole first can in,
he's still going to be short.
Toast,
he's still going to be short on fuel.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, Marcos has come back down pit road because when everybody else has a full tank of gas, he only got maybe 4 or 5 gallons of gas, which is only 10 or 12 laps, whatever it may be.
He was 14th when he pitted. Now he has scored 1 lap down in the 35th position. And you saw David Reagan, last week's winner, going around another prospective first-time winner, Paul Menard. They were battling for a position just outside the top 10, and Matt Kenseth trying to rally back into the top 10 as well. David Rudiman won about a year ago at Chicagoland Speedway. In fact, his 2 career victories coming on 1.5-mile tracks, and he's looked good this evening. Started 17th, and he's up to 7th, Chris.
Well, I talked to Rodney Childers earlier, and he said because they did the tire test a couple weeks ago, they rolled off the truck strong. He was disappointed that they couldn't qualify. He said we definitely would have been up in the top 5. But David's saying right now that the car is just a little bit loose in and tight off. They think they can handle that. They're running great right now, running 7th.
David, one of those 7 drivers that won last season that's yet to experience victory in 2011.
And it's just, you know, watching the leaderboard over here, what the times are, it's incredible how close the times are. And basically top 12 to 15 guys. I mean, it is so close right now.
Casey Kane goes around Jimmy Johnson for 3rd. And that reminds me of something, Kyle. You got to be good on the long run. Jimmy passed Casey early in this run, now vice versa. Ralph?
99 is 3 back.
Casey Kane is working his way around with this car right now, Adam, but he's talking a lot about the vibration and not just what's coming up out of the racetrack. Apparently, as you'll hear on this audio clip, he's been dealing with vibrations each and every week.
How do you think kind of vibrates so bad every week? I wonder if everybody does, or it's just this. Yeah, I don't know, man. Just have to deal with it best we can there. I don't know. Sucks.
Yeah, that's and I don't know what he's looking at. Sometimes, you know, from a driver's perspective, sometimes in the car you feel a vibration, and Wally, I'm sure you felt this. It's the harmonics of the drivetrain. It's the way the alignment is, what degree you run in the rear end, or the gear itself, or the rear end housing, how the drive shaft is mounted, whether it's indexed, how it is, or balanced the right way, how the transmission fits up, and how the engine is bolted together. There's a lot of factors that go into that harmonics, and it's as much a vibration as it is you just kind of feel it.
Kyle Busch leading this race, 72 laps in. The cycle of green flag pit stops began while we were away. David Rudiman got it started at lap 72. Kurt Busch, who has led a bunch of laps tonight on pit road, at lap 78. Let's follow the stop.
Be ready, go. Clear all the way out, 4250. All the way to 42, dig. Clear all the way out to the grass. Second off. See you, boys. girl, bud. Water temp look okay, KD? Simple. Hold.
Kyle Busch, the race leader, made his pit stop. Landon Castle, the only driver yet to come down the pit lane under green. Last time he pitted, lap 33, so he has inherited the race lead. And you know what happens when we have green flag pit stops? We have pit road penalties. Brian Vickers too fast entering. He had to make a pass-through penalty. Let's look back at these green flag pit stops, starting with David Rudiman and Chris Neville.
Yeah, right before we went to break on lap 72, David Rudiman came in. He said the car is tight in the center and tight off. So quarter round of wedge out of that car, 4 tires and fuel.
Matt? Kurt Busch chasing his 7th win on a mile-and-a-half racetrack. His biggest hindrance at this point, the car absolutely too tight. As he drives it down in the corner, his team made a significant wedge adjustment to try to fix the double deuce. Ralph?
Well, the 4 of Casey Kane, they made an air pressure adjustment and went down a half a round on the jack bolt. And they also put a rubber in the right rear, took 4 tires and fuel. Still trying to adjust this number 4 to a position where he likes the handling, Marty.
Oh, Kyle Busch loves green flag pit stops. Ralph, you heard Eddie DeHaan calling him into the pit stall. That is his spotter. They lengthened their lead over his brother Kurt Busch. The car was just a little bit too loose. Kyle said, if you can get those front tires to work better for me, that would be great. Quarter round up, right rear and wedge.
Clint Boyer almost lost it, getting off a 4 there.
Good save. Take a breath here. 10 back. 5.
Boyer right now 1 lap down, being scored back in the 30th position. Landon Castle gave up the race lead. He makes his pit stop at lap 84. And we look back at what you were talking about.
Just there in the frame, just got sideways, getting off the corner. A lot of these guys are, like I said, struggling with the cars being loose.
And just struggling with rear grip. But, you know, it was interesting, you know, what Marty said. You talk about Kyle Busch extended his lead over his brother. He's probably, if not the best, one of the top 1 or 2 as far as that in-lap and that out-lap and extending that time. He picks up a couple of seconds coming on the pit road and a couple not actually on pit road itself. It's just through 3 and 4. And when he leaves, he picks up time on the flat of the racetrack. And it's just a second here, a half second there, and all of a sudden you don't have to drive as hard on the racetrack. You let the car do all the work. Kyle's probably as good, if not the best, at doing that. The other thing that I found interesting during that round of pit stops was when Tony left his pit, you heard Darian Grubbs say all the way to the 42. The 42 is 8 pits away. So he knows 8 pits away, you got to go hard all the way there. Obviously, they know where the scoring line is. So
timing line.
Where the timing line is. So he had that figured out, and he and Tony had talked about it. You can go all the way from there to the 42 car's pit, and then you've got to slow it back down.
Casey Kane working on his race car throughout this night. 3rd right now, and right behind him, Carl Edwards. This happening more than 4 seconds behind the race leader. And right now is Kyle Busch. He's already got a win this weekend. Won here Thursday in truck competition. He's dominating tonight. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series rolling through the hills of Kentucky on a Saturday night. First ever event here at the Kentucky Speedway for the Cup cars, and Kyle Busch wants to put his name on the trophy. His advantage over older brother Kurt, 4.1 seconds. Casey Kane, Carl Edwards, David Rudiman make up the top 5, and in the 6th position right now, Jimmy Johnson, Matt.
Success is all about the team. Earlier in the race, Earl Barber, the spotter, was telling Jimmy he was running lower than anyone on the racetrack to maybe adjust his line to help the race cars handle him. The car not bad, down in 1 and 2. His biggest issue entry into 3, but their biggest problem appears to be their stop on pit road.
And we have got to do a better job on pit road. We just got annihilated there.
You know, that's the thing. Everybody's running so close. I mentioned earlier, the top 10 or 15 guys, I mean, it's like 31.1, 30.12, 31.23. Very, very close. So if you're going to give up a bunch of time on pit lane, it can make the difference tonight, especially if we get long green flag, laps, because Kyle Busch, he just picked up a lot of time, as Kyle mentioned, not on pit lane per se, but getting up to speed and slowing down.
Hey guys, this has been, quite honestly, one of the Achilles heel of Jimmy Johnson's race team all year long, is not getting the job done on pit road. I know they've taken on a new format. They basically have practice every week, and Chad Knaus and Steve Letarte post a roster. This is who our pit crew will be this week, and it can change from week to week, but they continue to search, and I think they will for the next 9 races till we get to the chase, about what is the right pit crew for this 48 car.
Yeah, let me ask you something, Larry. You say it's been an Achilles heel all this year. What about the chase last year when they changed teams halfway through the chase? How long can this team let this be a problem for them?
No, you're right. It's plagued them much longer than just the 17 races we've had this year. But they've got to get that fixed if they want to indeed even be a contender for their 6th consecutive championship.
Well, Carl Edwards was the point leader entering last week at Daytona. Finished 37th. I think he's battling through the adversity nicely. He drove around Casey Kane like Kane was riding the brakes. Edwards up to 3rd behind the Busch brothers, Kyle and Kurt, who are out front 97 laps in. 103 of 267 laps complete here at the Kentucky Speedway. So let's go through the field, presented by McDonald's. Marty Snyder.
Adam, a terrific drive for Kyle Busch so far tonight. And really, should we be surprised that he's out front? We've talked about his teammate, Joey Logano, winning 3 straight from the pole here in the Nationwide Series. The man on top of the pit box for 2 of those 3 wins was Dave Rogers, the crew chief tonight for Kyle Busch here in the Cup Series. He said, I'm in traffic a little bit more in this run, so it's a little bit tighter, but don't make any adjustments, Matt.
Impressive run by his brother, Busch the elder, Kurt, running in 2nd, lost the lead on pit road, just settling in. This team, it's like flipping a switch from the start of the season to where we are today. He said a couple months ago his team was beating their head against the wall. A number of changes made. They are really looking forward as we inch ever closer to the chase of making a run at a 2nd championship. His car just a little bit on the tight side.
Matt, as promised in Countdown to Green, Carl Edwards being a little more aggressive tonight. Terrific with his feedback to Bob Osborne. He said the nose much better in the track than it was yesterday. He said, when I get behind someone, though, I absolutely come to a stop. Car really stalling out and a little too tight when he's in traffic.
Casey Kane is not rolling through the corner fast enough, Marty. He's having to hold the brake a little too long. They're talking about putting a packer in the front of the car and taking a ½ pound of air pressure adjustment out of the right front. That's what they're thinking about as they get ready for this next round of pit stops coming up here for Casey Kane. Chris.
Well, David Rudeman started 17th. He's worked his way up to 5th. He's very happy with the car. He said on the radio, guys, we are as good as anybody through turns 1 and 2, but we're getting beat through turns 3 and 4. The car is still a little bit tight. Matt?
Jimmy Johnson's run here nationwide. He said it's apples to oranges, the Nationwide car back when he ran here to the current Cup car. The biggest thing is just learning as we go through different cycles tonight. Already looking at track temperature, we've seen almost a 20-degree change. 115 at the beginning, about 95 right now as he's in the 6th position.
Matt, very strong run for Brad Keselowski in the 7th position. And every run, he said, it gets better the longer we run. At the beginning, it's a little bit too loose. They wanted to fix the entry, and they need a good run. They've only had 1 top 10 since their win at Kansas. That win came in this same exact race car. Ralph?
Marty, the only car faster than the 42 Juan Pablo Montoya right now is Matt Kenseth in the 17 who's chasing him. Montoya's a little tight. He's better on the longer runs. They haven't made any big adjustments yet, but they're getting ready to on this next stop.
Well, early in the race, Matt Kenseth thought he broke a valve spring, but later on they just realized that the engine was just loading up in the first 10 laps. It's been running great ever since. He said early in the run, the car is loose and then transitions to tight. On that last stop, all they did was an air pressure change. 1 spot behind him in 10th place. Our points leader, Kevin Harvick. Well, Kevin's been very quiet on the radio since the last pit stop. I haven't heard Kevin at all. He said the car very good before that last pit stop, just a slight air pressure change. Larry?
Yeah, I've been watching Kevin Harvick's teammate, Paul Menard, in that 27 car, getting on a little bit of a roll here lately, but he's running about where he qualified. Started back in the 10th, running 11th, looking for that first career win. The guy that got his first career win right behind Paul Menard David Reagan in that 6 car, again, not making a lot of noise here early, started 8th. He's running into 12th. But guys, the driver I've been watching since the drop of the green flag, the winner from Michigan a few weeks ago, Denny Hamlin in that 11 car to the rear of the field because of an engine change with the aid of only 1 caution. He's on the verge of cracking the top 10, but he needs another caution to kind of make up the rest of that ground.
And I'll tell you what, there's going to be a heck of a race for the Lucky Dog right now. You got Jeff Gordon, Newman, and Earnhardt's right there. The next car, actually Gordon's the next car to go a lap down, but there's some really good cars right now that are being put a lap down.
And Jeff Gordon driving as hard as he can right now to stay on the lead lap. Should point out Marcus Ambrose is 2 laps down now. He had to make another pit stop. He's out of sequence because they didn't get the car full of fuel on that opening stop of the night. And now we got a great battle. Inside the top 5, Casey Kane, Jimmy Johnson, David Rudiman, all going at it for 4th.
Rear quarter. Still down there. Let that 48 go, Beak.
So Jimmy Johnson had those issues on pit road a while ago. He's back in the top 5. Kyle Busch still leading at Kentucky. So who do you think will win the inaugural Cup race at Kentucky Speedway? Cast your vote in the KFC opinion poll right now, only at NASCAR.com. Second cycle of green flag pit stops underway. Kyle Busch leading, but already a number of cars have made pit stops. Mark Martin and Jamie McMurray have been there. A.J. Allmendinger was down pit road. Landon Castle in right now, and here comes Casey Kane.
Talk up, you're 10 away. Keep on coming. Keep on coming. You're about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Real straight from the brake. Go, go, go. 41. Go, 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 go. Right there, right there, right there. Get it wrapped up. Get it wrapped up. Go hard, 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 go hard. You are clear, nothing coming, 4,000. Four, 3, 2, 1. Stop, stop, perfect. Hard, hard. Dig. Go all the way. Jump in here, you're 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4 tires. Get over here, get it, about right there. Walk the wall. Head away. Put on a break. We're all out. 4250. Back to the 16 and a pitch this time. 4,000 at the line. Coming to you, boys.
Our second cycle of green flag pit stops is complete. So nice to hear him make the music along pit lane. And as Brad Keselowski exits the pit road, right behind him, Mike Bliss. He had a pass-through penalty, too fast entering. Surprise, surprise. When the green flag stops began, Kyle Busch leading. His advantage now, he's way out front of second place, Carl Edwards. Kyle Busch, the race leader, your top five. Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Casey Kane, Jimmy Johnson. Edwards really making some gains on that cycle of stops. Let's look back at what happened under green a moment ago on pit road. Start with Chris Neville.
Matt Kenseth currently running ninth. He was supposed to come to pit lane on lap 126, but he had a car to his inside. Couldn't get down to pit lane, so he had to squeeze out one additional lap, going 51 laps on that last run. His only complaint, the car a little bit tight in traffic. The only change they did, half pound of air out of the left front. Matt?
Kurt Busch runs in third, slightly slower stop that time for the Pennzoil guys. Busch says the racetrack to him feels like it's going through a major change, much tighter that last run. You heard Steve Addington on our enhanced audio make the call for a track bar adjustment, trying to free up his 22 car for this current run. Ralph.
Matt, Casey Kane still playing that 4 game. He's running in fourth in car number 4 right now. He's been skimming the splitter across the ground. So they put a packer into the right front. And they also went one round down on the right rear jack bolt and a little air pressure out of the right front, trying to get that splitter up off the ground, Marty.
Boy, Ralph, is this race playing into Kyle Busch's hands. He's wearing him out on fuel mileage, and he's also faster than everybody else and gaining time on every stop, lengthening out his lead once again. And all they did was, it was a little too loose at the beginning of the run. They went up a quarter round of wedge in the left rear, trying to get it a little bit tighter at the beginning of the run. But boy, they are fine-tuning this 18, Adam. Off in the wind, didn't he?
And that, you know, a little bit loose really does play in his favor, because this track will get a little bit tighter as it cools off. I mean, he pretty much can run wherever he wants, Kyle. What I've been watching him, he's just, oh, hey, this is definitely going to close things up.
Second caution of the night for debris on the back straightaway. And the lead is gone for Kyle Busch.
That's about all the chance some of these guys had to race that 7 to 8, 9 second gap.
Mark Martin gets the free pass. Right now he's scored in the 20th position. Tonight's Goodyear superior performer is Joey Logano. Talked a lot in our pre-race tonight about how good he has been at Kentucky. Well, he's made 4 nationwide starts here, and he's won 3 of them. 3 poles. He's really good, and he is tonight's Goodyear Superior Performer. Right now, Logano on the lead lap, scored in the 18th position.
How about prior to Martin getting the lucky dog, there were 300 cars down a lap.
When's the last time you saw that in a race?
A long time.
Yeah. I mean, the laundry list of names a lap down. You talk about the Hendrick cars. Dale Jr., Ryan Newman is there. Jamie McMurray, Martin Truex Jr., Jeff Gordon, A.J. Allmendinger, Clint Boyer.
His car looks awful out there tonight.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny because on Twitter here, somebody said, you know, the guys that are getting lapped are mid-pack cars and always are. So I guess Jeff went at 2 races this year. He's a mid-pack car. I don't know who this guy is on Twitter. But, I mean, these are really good cars that are getting a lap down.
Yeah. I don't think they're bad as much as Kyle Busch is really good.
Really good tonight.
So the leader's going to pit here, and these pit stops will come at lap 141. Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Casey Kane, Jimmy Johnson, the top 5. And here comes Kyle.
Sure, yeah, water. On that 6 car. One lane. All clear, bud. Clear out 4250. All right, go, all the way out, 4100, 4100.
So Kyle Busch comes in the race leader, and the team holds serve. A number of guys going fuel only. The top 2, Kyle and Kurt both doing so. Carl Edwards took 2 tires. He was 3rd coming off the pit lane. We're back to Kentucky in a moment. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Under caution for the 2nd time tonight, Brad Keselowski, Tony Stewart stayed out. They are the front 2. 9 drivers took the wave around. Earnhardt Jr., Newman, McMurray, Martin Truex Jr., and Jeff Gordon, who now all 5 are back on the lead lap. Larry?
Well, Adam, we've been hearing a lot of the drivers talk about how much this track is cooling down and how aggressive they're getting with the changes. I've been pretty impressed with Kenny Francis and Casey Kane in that 4 car, running up in the top 5, top 10. How aggressive they've been getting. Earlier in the race, they put half of a rubber in the right rear. Stiffens that right rear spring up, makes that car really turn a lot better. But on this last stop, Ralph Shaheen reported that this is a bump stop on the front shock. He was complaining about the splitter of the car bottoming out. What they did, the front tire changer, while he had the front tire off, he went in there and just put this few thousand shim in there, and that just reduces the travel ever so slightly. But guys, the biggest thing, they've been doing this, and they've not been losing a lot of positions on pit stops.
Yeah, that's what when Ralph mentioned that earlier, Larry, it was pretty incredible that he said they did all that stuff and did not lose any time on pit lane. Those guys are getting after it down there.
We go back to green as we complete lap 146 of 267. And with the lights out on the pace car, we listen in. It's Inside Tracks Enhanced.
Outside the 16. You're clear. You're clear. Still there. Still there. Clear, clear. Now the 2. Inside Carl, inside 4-car hole here, 4-car hole. All clear. wide. 42 will be clear. 42 will be clear. Will be clear. Still there, 3 wide. 3 wide inside. Inside, still there. Still 3 wide. 3 wide. Still 3 wide. 3 wide. Still there. Still there. Clear high, clear high. Inside 17. Clear all around. Clear by 1. Good job, bud. Go get him now. Outside. Coming back to you outside. 42 will be clear. Caution's out below. Come on the track here. Caution's out.
And we're hearing from NASCAR there may be oil in turns 3 and 4, bringing out our third caution of the night. And watch David Reagan. This perhaps the reason we got the caution.
Oh, look at his front tires. They're already cranked to the right way before he even got into the corner. Good job of hanging on to that thing.
Last week's winner scored in 20th right now. And those guys that took the wave around at lap 145, how about McMurray, Earnhardt Jr., Ryan Newman, Martin Truex Jr., Jeff Gordon, they all come back around.
Yeah, that puts a lot of cars back on the lead lap. Labonte gets the lucky dog, so that's 26 cars.
And it
was up to like 17, 18 or something a little while ago.
15 laps ago, it was inside of 20. Brad Keselowski dominated last night in nationwide competition. He's leading right now. What's the report on the leader, Marty?
Adam, it's been a very distracting time for Brad Keselowski. They did not pit at lap 141 because they've been having radio problems for quite a while. Here's part of that radio conversation.
Got to do a good job here of being able to make it, happy medium while we are in traffic. I got no idea what you're saying, Paul. Anybody home? Joey, Paul, anybody? Radio check, anybody home?
So they can hear Brad, but Brad cannot hear the crew. So what they've done, they've turned off all the radios here in the pits, because when the radios are on in the pits, it's a very distracting noise for Brad. That's one of the reasons they stayed out. On the next stop, they do plan to give him a second radio if he can hook that up, guys.
Denny Hamlin, the guys that got the wave around a few moments ago, all making pit stops here at lap 153. Everyone else staying on track. Brad Keselowski, the race leader here at the Kentucky Speedway.
And we are under caution for the third time here at Kentucky Speedway. 155 laps complete out of 267. Brad Keselowski continues to be the leader, but Larry McReynolds, as we look at the point standings, things have toggled up and down quite a bit. And the one thing I know that's jumping out is Tony Stewart.
Well, it is, Lindsay, and I know we have 112 laps to go, plus 2 pit stops in particular for Brad Keselowski. But what I'm seeing the points now is Tony Stewart, who we had in the countdown to green, is in the top 10, and something all the drivers love to see. Denny Hamlin with that one win from Michigan, he's in the top 10, but Boyer and Newman are out. But where Brad Keselowski is running right now with that one win from Kansas, he is now in the top 20. He needs to seal the deal here tonight and stay in the top 20 when we leave here with 8 races to the chase.
Who do you think has hurt themselves the most so far, Larry?
Well, it looks like to me that Clint Boyer has not been good since the drop of the green flag. I mean, we watched him almost spin out off of turn 4. He's 28th, 1 lap down. The good news for Clint Boyer, we are headed to Loudon next week, and he loves that place.
Exactly, guys. So the points standings continues to toggle back and forth. Kevin Harvick, however, remains the leader as of now.
The Coca-Cola in-car camera on Race Buddy lets you ride shotgun with the Coca-Cola Racing family of drivers. Check it out on NASCAR.com's race buddy. Lindsay said it. Kevin Harvick, the point leader, but it's now Kyle Busch who has jumped to second. Carl Edwards moves to third. Beautiful night here in Kentucky for the inaugural Sprint Cup Series race.
So far watching these restarts, it seems like both Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch are the strongest for like the first 5 laps, which is a ton because you can put a lot of distance on everybody on those new tires. It seems like in the past so far, Casey Kane has really struggled. I mean, he's back in 19th right now, but boy, it takes a long time for that car to get hooked up.
Kyle Busch has led 105 of the 156 laps tonight. Puts him over 1,000 laps led in 2011. And he starts on the front row with Brad Keselowski. BK choosing the outside lane, and there's 12 laps difference in their tires. Kyle has the fresher of the two.
Green. Line up bottom. Inside corner, back to you. Inside, on your bumper. All around. One to the 40, the crowd.
There was no way that thing was going to stick us.
Now they go 3 wide for the lead. That's Kyle Busch in the middle. Tony Stewart making it happen down low.
I think the 2 car drove in there so deep. The 18 had to give him a little bit of room, and Tony just had a run on it.
How about these guys stayed out under that last caution? They're running 1-2.
Up the racetrack there. I mean, he really pushed up, and he did the same thing. He drove in there really hard, tried to stay underneath, and boy, that car just took off.
It's kind of an accident that got Brad Keselowski in the race lead with the radio problems, but he's proving he belongs.
And he said he's got his radio problems fixed. He switched to his second radio, and a couple of people on Twitter here said, I thought you had to have radio communications with your spotter. NASCAR gives you a chance to fix that under caution or at some point in time. They give you a chance to come back and work on that. If you have no communications, then obviously they're going to bring you in. But Brad said, in clean air, my car is really pretty good right now.
And that's why they all have a primary and a backup channel.
And we pretty much have seen that all night as far as whoever's out front, it's good. But these guys are racing really pretty hard right here. There's a lot, and this is, like I said, one of those places where you can drive in really hard at this racetrack. You just lose the grip right about halfway through the corner, and that's when you start sliding up.
Half a lap ago, it looked like Kurt Busch was going to get around Kyle for third. Now Jimmy Johnson inside of Kurt for a position inside the top 5. That is 4th. Last time Tony Stewart pitted, he's second right now, was lap 124. Brad Keselowski last pitted at lap 129. For Kyle Busch and the others running in the top 10, they pitted under caution at lap 141, and the advantage right now for the Blue Deuce over a second as Jimmy Johnson works on Kurt Busch again.
I mean, obviously rolls through the center, really good. He might have him cleared this time, but yeah, it took him a couple laps. Kurt Busch was really strong on the high side coming off on the top. But don't forget, all these guys have a little bit different tires right now, and it's really showing up.
So what's the latest from Brad Keselowski and his team, Marty?
Well, when we went green at him, you heard that radio and the crackle. That's what he hears from his spotter. So he does hear from his spotter, but it does break up every once in a while. And now they're going old school with some signals.
Know your hand signals for balance wise. Boost up top.
Tight on the bottom, right?
What's your sheet say? It doesn't say that, does it?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Tight hand on the door, or on the roof. Loose hand on the door. Yeah, I'll follow that sheet. Go ahead. I don't know if I can reach the roof. I can reach the A-pillar, though.
And that's something, you know, and there again, when they're under caution, it's a lot easier. If you have radio problems, it's really bad when everything is going full bore. You're up to speed, all that noise is coming through the mics, it's hard to hear. When it's caution, that's when you can really communicate the best with your guys when you're having radio problems. So they're just trying to figure out, all right, if we're going to continue to have these problems, we need to know from the driver what the car's doing, so when he hits pit lane, we know what changes to make.
Talked about the guys in the top 5. David Rudiman, 6th. You see him there in the 00 Tums Toyota. Right behind him, Juan Pablo Montoya, Matt Kenseth, Carl Edwards, and Kevin Harvick, the top 10 with 165 laps complete. Brad Keselowski feeling good, but a pit stop not too far away for the Blue Deuce. Well, let's take an inside look at what's happening now in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint and Evo 4G, America's first 4G phone. Talking about Brad Keselowski and Kyle Busch. For all the latest NASCAR stats, check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile and the Evo, only from Sprint at sprint.com/speed. Top speed of the race, you see it there for the Blue Deuce. Up around 200 miles per hour. And what about Kyle Busch tonight? He has led the most laps in this race, 106. He's 3rd right now. Sandwiched in between Tony Stewart. Stewart and Keselowski on a different pit cycle than those guys from 3rd on back. They did not pit under caution at lap 41, and at some point here they got to be thinking about a green flag stop, Larry.
Well, yeah, Tony Stewart, I think, will be the first driver to hit pit road, because by my calculations, he's been running about 47 to 48 laps each time he was on pit road at lap 124. So probably here in the next 2, 3, 4 laps, we'll see that 14 car of Tony Stewart making a green flag stop.
Brad Keselowski 5 laps to the good in comparison to Tony Stewart when you look at their last pit stop. But it's all worked out for BK. I mean, he leads the race, which is good, so you get the bonus point situation, and he's back in the top 20 in points. So as of now, he's hanging on to a championship spot. Wally?
I just think it might take more than that one.
It might.
You know?
And this would be number 2 for him, which would be great.
Yeah, and he needs that. That's what I'm saying. I mean, everybody's like, well, he's in the top 20. That's great. You know, he may have a spot. You know what? I think it's going to be a lot tougher than that.
I think these guys believe it. You know, when David Reagan won last week, he said, yeah, that puts us in position, but we need 2 to be solid.
I agree with that.
And I think everybody believes that, because you've had so many first-time winners, and there's so many guys who haven't won a race. Like we've talked about Tony Stewart. He's having a great run tonight. I mean, he wins that race, boom. He's there in the top 10.
And they're all in front of Brad.
And they're all in front of Brad, and that's the deal.
We knew long green flag runs could be a part of this race tonight. One of the best yesterday in practice, Kyle, when you look at long runs, Tony Stewart. They worked hard on it. I think it's paying dividends tonight.
But we watched that practice yesterday, and Tony Stewart was, what, 28th, 29th, 30th, just making race runs. But he was the top of the 5-lap average. He was the top of the 10-lap average, and he was out there making long runs. And when he made his qualifying run, he went to 7th on the board that day.
What about it, Matt?
Well, you look at the difference just between Thursday's open practice session here at Kentucky, and then on Friday, it was like flipping a light switch. They were off their game a little bit on Thursday, but they really hit upon something, and they've just been trying to tweak on that, especially throughout the night. Team getting their helmets on, closing in on Stewart's next pit stop. But basically, he said the car a little too free. We'll see what kind of adjustments they're going to make here shortly.
And this thing has got green for so long, and I think it's going to be important if we don't get into a few mileage thing, that, again, everybody's running so close, that track position is going to mean everything, which means your pit stops in and out, if this thing stays green, that extra 2 or 3 seconds you can make or lose on the racetrack can be a ton.
And the word is, it'll be next time around for Tony Stewart to make this green flag pit stop.
Let's watch him hustle down to get down to the third gear, down a second. He gets down to pit road speed, and you'll be able to watch when he makes a pit stop. There's a lot more to it than you just sitting there taking a drink. He's got to get it in. He's got to hold the brakes, hold the steering wheel straight. When they get done with the right sides, he'll put it in gear to get ready to take off when they finish the left sides.
2, 1.
Gets a drink here. Goes around. I'm going to put in gear on the way around.
Big, 42, all the way to 42.
You got to make sure, like I said, you got to keep those wheels straight. There's a lot going on in just those 12 or 13 seconds.
A pit stop for Tony Stewart coming at lap 180. And there you see Juan Pablo Montoya getting good as the run continues. He goes around David Rudiman for 5th. Brad Keselowski, the race leader, but he, like Tony Stewart, going to have to make a green flag pit stop unless the caution comes out rather quickly. Expect him sometime in the next 5 laps. And that would put Kyle Busch back in the race lead. Kyle's been the dominator here tonight, leading some 106 laps. Brad Keselowski second in that category. He has led 38 circuits this evening.
We've been talking about how good Kyle Busch is, getting in, all that. Right now he's behind Keselowski by 1.4 seconds. So it'll be interesting to see if he erases that margin just on the pit stop.
When they coming, Marty?
Well, they're going to come in about 3 laps, and when you don't have radio communication, Adam, you've got to figure out the fuel mileage yourself. So when they were under green, Brad said, I'm going to assume after pit about lap 184, based on what you told me this morning. Fortunately, they did get a caution. Paul Wolfe said pit about lap 185 or 186. He'll hear that from his spotter, and that's when Brad Keselowski will come down pit road. And yes, he is using the hand signals. Car a little bit too loose getting into the corner right now.
I think it's so cool that Paul Wolfe was on top of things this morning to tell Brad Keselowski, here's how many laps you can run on fuel. Little did he know they would be put in his box, but it's great that Brad Keselowski is aware of it, and he was able to calculate it on his own during the caution.
Yeah, and I'm going to add something there, Larry. I think it's cool that Brad Keselowski has enough presence of mind to ride around out here and try to find the scoreboard to see how many laps, because obviously the scoreboard's in a strange position at this racetrack. There's one going into turn 1 and one coming out of turn 4. As he comes down the front stretch, he has the presence of mind to look up and say 182, 183, 184, it's time to pit. Now the only problem that they have is they've worked out their signals. Loose, I put my hand on the door. Push, I put my hand on the A post. We heard him talk about that. That's old school. The difference is you don't know how tight or how loose the car is because you don't hear the inflection or you don't get to verbally communicate. You see him sticking his hand out the window right there to give the crew a signal on what the car is doing.
I think we underestimate just how smart Brad Keselowski is. If you go back to that win at Kansas, just remember everything he did to save fuel when he was driving that race car.
Well, we said Brad would give up the race lead when he pitted. He may give it up on the racetrack because Kyle Busch is good.
He just erased a second there in that last lap.
And here comes Keselowski for the stop. It will come at lap 186.
I see 4 tires. 4 tires. Waiting on gas here. Go on, Paul. Not waiting on gas. Just going on the jack here all the way down. All right, 10 away.
Regan Smith making a green flag pit stop as well, and that got close. Regan back outside the top 20 himself. Keselowski right now scored 23rd. Kyle Busch back in front. He's in front of Jimmy Johnson. Back at Kentucky, green flag pit stops underway, and the leader on pit road.
Drink if you got one. butchering, guys. 5, 4, 3, 2. Go, 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 go.
So Kyle Busch makes a pit stop from the race lead. That was a scheduled green flag pit stop for him at lap 193. He goes back onto the racetrack in the 11th position, and the new leader is teammate Denny Hamlin. Denny lost an engine here yesterday, started at the back. He has come to the front, and this is a strategy move. When the caution came out, he elected to pit at lap 153. A handful of drivers did, and now things have cycled through in that group at the front, and it's a while before they've got to pit again. Among the group that pitted with Denny, some of the wave around guys like Dale Earnhardt Jr., Ryan Newman, Martin Truex Jr., Jeff Gordon, all now in the top 10. Marty?
Well, this is a big dilemma for Mike Ford, Adam. He knows that he can probably go to lap 207, but do you leave Denny Hamlin out that long, knowing the rest of these guys are on brand new tires and making up time on you? They want to get Denny some track position. That's why they pitted later than everybody else when no one else came down into that caution. Mike's probably going to leave him out for 3 or 4 more laps here, but you can't leave him out for too long. Obviously, the car very fast, so if they do get up front, Adam, they'll be a contender.
Adam, when I look at our top 9 drivers right now, I'm not sure any of them, other than maybe Denny Hamlin, has a car that can win this race. But with that pit stop on lap 153, if we see any of them go to about lap 208 or 209, they may be trying to make it on that one stop and stretch it. Who knows, maybe steal one.
And Larry, to add perspective, we kept talking about these top 8 drivers. Brad Keselowski had the lead, had to make a green flag pit stop. He is 9th, so he is the first driver of that group that is on a different cycle. Kyle Busch right behind him. Then you got Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, and Kurt Busch. Those the only 13 drivers right now that are on the lead lap.
Hey, Larry, but if you're, I understand what you're saying about most of those guys, but if you're the 11, what do you do? I mean, I think the 11 is fast enough right now to win the race, but you know, do you go that route, or do you go for the fuel mileage?
Yeah, he is absolutely, as Marty just reported, he's the one driver that's kind of in limbo here. I think they're going to come on right now and get on the same agenda as these other drivers, because I think they're giving up so much time with those fresh tires as those guys that just pitted.
Dale Jr., one of those in the top 10. He makes his pit stop here at lap 198, and Bobby Labonte in as well. And now we got a caution and a big smoker. Jamie McMurray up in turn 2.
Well, that pretty much throws that possible of making it on one stop out the window, guys, because I think right now no one can make 67 laps on a tank of fuel. So this will put pretty much everybody on even ground.
Man, that thing just exploded.
I'm
surprised he hasn't bailed out of that thing yet, because you certainly can't breathe in there with all that.
Yeah, it was hard to tell whether, from the angle that we saw, whether he had been in the wall or something. But I think the engine just let go, and he just stopped because he could not see.
Yeah.
See McMurray moving around inside the race car, gloves off. That's a good sign. There goes the helmet. Let's look one more time at what happened.
You see him just coming into turn 1. Oh God.
Yeah, that's big. That's big right there. I can't remember seeing one that blew up that big.
No, that's a Speedway explosion, but it's all white smoke. And when you see white smoke like that, most of the time it's knocked a hole in the piston.
But look inside the car, like you said, he cannot see where he's going. He just jams on the brakes. I mean, jams on the brakes just so he doesn't run into somebody.
Yeah, and it's like it just knocked the pistons out of it, because it's just all white smoke.
An interesting group at the front. David Reagan, the leader. Back at the Kentucky Speedway, 202 of 267 laps complete. It's Sprint Cup Series racing presented by KFC. Sometimes it's a game of inches in NASCAR. Denny Hamlin making a pit stop. Caution comes out. David Reagan, the race leader. Hamlin staying on the lead lap by that much. It was close. So that group out front has now made their pit stops. Martin Truex Jr., David Reagan, Jeff Gordon, and others. And that has put Brad Keselowski back in the race lead. We get set for the restart when we return to Kentucky. Jamie McMurray, the reason for the caution. He has been released from the infield care center. Now the wave arounds have not made their move yet, but when they do, there is 12 in line to do so. Carl Edwards at the front of that group. As you saw him behind the pace car, he will restart in the 14th position. Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch, the top 5. And now we hear from Jamie McMurray. Here's Ralph Shaheen.
Jamie, what's it like inside that car when it packs full of smoke like that?
Yeah, I got a little bit freaked out because when I felt the motor start shaking and blow up, and the smoke came in the car so fast that I couldn't see, and I was more concerned with getting the car stopped and trying to get the spotter to help me drive the car, then put it in neutral. So it was getting worse as I was going into the corner. So that's the first time it's ever happened to me, so it was really odd.
You're really the first driver we've had a chance to talk to from during the race about what the experience is like racing here at Kentucky tonight. What's your take?
Well, the track is really slick on the restarts, especially being in the back. Everybody's fighting to get to the bottom, and then as you run a few laps, it widens out and gets two grooves wide. I just wish the tire would fall off a little bit more. It doesn't seem that it falls off as much as it needs to. But it's actually, I wasn't a fan of the track in our test day. I didn't really care for the layout because it's different. But once the race started, it raced really well. So yeah, I liked it.
All right, Jamie. Thanks. Glad to see you. Okay.
The wave arounds have made their move, and we're set to go back under green, and now they've added a lap. As you saw, the lights go on the pace car, so we will sit and wait a little bit longer before we go green flag racing once again. And you saw as we get ready to go back under the green flag, Brad Keselowski and Kyle Busch now back on the front row, and they the two cars that have really been the best tonight when you look at the numbers.
Yeah, and you hear us talk about clean air all the time, and I think that's really important. These guys want to get a good restart to get out front, because I think both Brad is really good out front, but Kyle is really good out front as well. So I think this restart is going to be pretty important.
Yeah, it is important. I want to go back to something that Jamie said. Jamie said the racetrack is really slick after a restart. And if you noticed, and if we could go back and rewind, when these guys went to qualify yesterday, even though qualifying was rained out, a lot of guys scuffed their tires to just knock the glaze off their tires because they felt like yesterday that the racetrack was slick on sticker tires. So they wanted to be on one-lap scuffs when they went to qualify. Now that you're in the race, you don't get an opportunity to scuff all your tires. So the restarts are going to be a little slick.
Matt?
Adam, that's exactly the feeling that Tony Stewart had in the 14 car. He thought he had a right rear tire going down. He asked his spotter to go down to Kurt Busch's spotter. Busch pulled up alongside, said no, his rear looks just like his right front. He goes, but you know what? I've been feeling the same thing a lot throughout the night. So a lot of guys are feeling that same sensation.
Stewart restarting 4th, and how important is track time? Kyle Busch won the truck race here on Friday night. He's running 2nd, and the man who starts in the lead here, it's Brad Keselowski, who won the nationwide race last night here at Kentucky. Never hurts to get some time on track.
And getting back, I think some of these guys' cars are better set up, Kyle, for the short run. You know, you're talking about the tire thing, but I also think guys like Kyle Busch and Keselowski, and I thought Kurt Busch's car was really good on those new tires, whether they were slick, stickers or not. Some of those guys were set up for it.
Some of those guys can handle that slickness, and their car seems to respond to that, and they take off, but a lot of them don't.
Wind back on you. Green flag, come on. Three wide, you're the top. 2 wide bottom, 2 wide bottom. Clear by 2. Play button.
Riding on board with Kurt Busch behind Tony Stewart. Smoke 5th. The double deuce 6th. As we go back to that last restart.
Take a look here. See what happens. Things got stacked up a little bit. I don't know if the 18 spun his tires a little bit, but he didn't get the greatest restart. It looked like 48 went to try to avoid the 18. May even got touched by this car here, the 22.
Not yet, not yet, not yet. Green flag.
It's like the 18 didn't go for whatever reason.
Clear high.
Definite contact there, and then a chain reaction 4 or 5 rows behind. On board with Paul Menard following Greg Biffle.
Green flag. All rolling, checking up. All rolling, one outside still.
Clobbered him pretty hard there on Menard's car. You see all the damage there.
Menard back in 18th, Biffle in 16th right now. Hey, Montoya's been hanging around all night long. Started second, drifted back, but he's in the 7th position right now. You see him tucked in that bright red Target car behind Kurt Busch. So what about Montoya tonight, Ralph?
You know, Adam, he got his first test for Chip Ganassi right here at this speedway in Kentucky back in 2006 to see whether or not he wanted to go cup racing. He crashed that day. Today, he's running great. He's been battling up and in around the top 5 all evening long here. The car is running very good. They haven't been making big changes with that car, so they're right in the zone and should be strong as this one winds down.
Montoya, another one of those drivers that won in 2010 that is yet to get a victory in 2011. His win coming at Watkins Glen in August of last year, and I'm sure he's looking forward to going back there next month. The damage hurting Paul Menard, who continues to drift. Mark Martin goes around. Menard now 20th in the running order. Brad Keselowski at the front, a 2.5 seconds in front of Kyle Busch.
I'm sure that 27's picked up a push right there with all that damage. He's lost, I would say, front downforce on that car.
As things continue to cycle through, Denny Hamlin, who's on a bit of a different strategy earlier this evening, working on David Reagan, last week's winner, for the 10th position. You can't say enough about how this 11 team has battled back. Not only did they start at the rear with an engine change, but Kyle, 2 laps of practice yesterday, and that really put them behind the 8 ball, Marty.
Yeah, Adam, in a brand new car this weekend, so imagine how panicked Mike Ford was this morning. They only got 2 laps with this car, so that even adds to how much credit this team deserves. They are 11 laps short on fuel, and Denny just radioed the crew. I think the car is going away a little bit from where it was earlier in the day, but clearly they know they have one of the cars to contend with the 2 and the 18 tonight. They just got to get that track position. Kyle and Wally, that must be so frustrating. You know, you have a car that can win, you just can't get to the front.
But you know what, Marty, they've done, I mean, they really have battled to try to get that track position. They've been doing it all night. Now they're finally in a position that if the caution does come out, it's almost like the start of their race. Yeah. Again, you know, because they've erased that gap.
Yeah, their strategy worked to get them where they wanted to be. They got very fortunate when that caution came out that they didn't get a lap down, although they would have been the lucky dog and everything would have worked out, it seems. But at the same time, the strategy worked to get them back in the race. And it's like you say, Wally, now their race starts. If they can get another caution and get up to where they need to be, then they're capable of running there. When you look at the times, they're right there with the top 2 or 3 cars.
How about Ryan Newman running in the top 10? He's one of those drivers, got behind early, took the wave around at lap 145, and he's inside the top 10 right now, running 8th with David Rudeman, who's really been very good tonight. Brad Keselowski trying to go back-to-back. He won here last night, and he's out front with 47 to go. We're getting down to it here at the Kentucky Speedway. 225 of 267 laps complete. Kyle Busch has been great all night long. He's second right now, but the new point leader in front of Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards, and the man everyone chasing in the race, Brad Keselowski, who has a 1.8 second advantage over the aforementioned Kyle Busch. Now we go through the field, presented by McDonald's. Marty Snyder gets us going.
You know, Adam, when I was talking to Kurt Busch the other day, he said, you know, full credit goes for this swing and where Penske Racing has gone to this man, Brad Keselowski. He said the setups we're running are setups that this team found. Brad said he was thrilled with the way this car took off. And as you mentioned, they're way shorter on fuel than everybody else. They have to pit in about 20 laps. That's about 15 laps before other guys will have to pit. Behind them, Kyle Busch mowing through the field. They're about 14 laps short on fuel, and he's trying for his 99th NASCAR win tonight.
Reaching mid-July, and Jimmy Johnson chasing his season's second win. Johnson said the car, if anything, could roll a little bit better to the center of the corner, but he's pretty pleased. The biggest change they made was on the previous pit stop. Chad Canals called an audible and changed the front changers. Went to the bullpen, brought in Colin Fambrough. Chris?
Well, Matt Kenseth has been complaining most of the evening that the car is still tight when he's behind other cars in traffic. Jimmy Finnick has been trying to free that car up by raising the track bar, but Jimmy Finnick is more worried about this next pit stop, saying that the 17 a bit more thirsty than the cars in front. They're going to have to take more fuel. Matt?
Tony Stewart running in the 5th position, slightly different scenario than the other contenders. His team, they're getting up on the wall, closing in on when they may hit pit road. Darian Grubb working on just how much fuel they're going to have to take when they hit pit road. Meanwhile, the double deuce of Kurt Busch running in 6th. He says pretty much he's in a four-wheel drift right now. A usual trend, he says, it seems like in the night races this year. Just trying to get a handle, talking about what significant adjustments to make, Ralph, on their next stop.
Matt, no conversation about adjustments here with the 42. In fact, they really haven't been making many all night long. This has been a very good car for Juan Pablo Montoya. He's raced it a handful of times already this year, got a 3rd with it at Vegas. They're getting ready to make that final pit stop here real soon, Chris.
Well, David Ruman running around the top 10 most of the night. He's loose in and tight off. Last stop, they added a spring rubber to the right rear on that car. Bigger concern is they're losing too many positions on pit lane. Matt?
And the 39 of Ryan Newman. What a recovery by this team. When you look back to when the chase starts, if they're in it, this could be the event that really was key for this team. Right now runs in 9th, talking about what adjustments they want to make, but if anything, the car has been both tight and free, but especially free on entry into turn 3. And looking at David Reagan, last week's winner at Daytona, he just moved up to the 9th position. No adjustments on the last stop, and guys, he's calling for that on their next stop.
And speaking of the next stop, it's right now for Tony Stewart. Lap 233 when he comes in under green for what you would think is the final stop of the night.
Ease up on your line, folks. Big car. Dig, 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 dig. 3, 2, 1. Mark, 3800, past the code, below the line on the back.
Brad Keselowski last came to pit road at lap 186. It won't be long before he has to make a stop, Larry.
Yeah, what I'm going to see here with Tony Stewart, he's definitely going to get advantage of those 4 fresh tires. But I think some of the drivers that will pit late in the game here, I think because they don't have to wait on fuel, you'll probably see a lot of them just go with right sides on.
You better hope they don't get a late caution, because then those tires are going to make a big difference on what you take in this pit stop.
Oh, yeah, but as we've well documented, and I think we've seen, these tires do not give up that much, and we know how important being out front in clean areas.
Kevin Harvick, the point leader, coming in as as Harvick exits, here comes Jimmy Johnson.
Nice and smooth here, guys. Go, man, go.
Keselowski has an advantage of 9/10 of a second over Kyle Busch, who is in the runner-up spot. Matt Kenseth, Kurt Busch, and Juan Pablo Montoya, the top 5 right now.
Yeah, Kyle's eating up that lead on Keselowski, and Kyle, again, I believe his car is very, very good towards the end of the runs, and you can see that right now. He's knocked about a second off that lead.
Well, you really would hate it to come down to anybody but these two, because Kyle's led 114 laps. Brad has led 77. I think there's little doubt they have been the 2 dominant ones here tonight. And you could throw Kurt Busch's name in that hat as well, although his domination came very early. You and I watching the stopwatch right there, you could see him gaining on the track. Kyle Busch on Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, and also he caught that car probably in the not the greatest place. Yeah. He didn't be, you know, he wasn't able to flow up to the wall, and that right there probably cost him, Kyle, 2 or 3/10 of a second just passing that car off of turn 4.
Yeah, when you have cars that are this equal, these two cars appear to be fairly equal, then it's all timing. It's whether you catch a car going in the corner, whether you catch a car going out, whether he goes high and you go low, and as we see the 18 pin, whether you can run your groove or not.
Lap 239 for Kyle Busch, who was second on track. This will be his final turn down pit road this evening.
Slap a 1-inch piece of tape on the nose. Okay, heavy duty, 1-inch piece of tape.
Looking for some front downforce is why they're doing that.
8 ahead, 10 away.
And he must be comfortable with his temperatures.
4, 3, 2.
As Kyle leaves, here comes the race leader, Brad Keselowski, giving up the top spot at lap 240.
Red all the way down here, 10 away.
Matt Kenseth was in the top 5. He has made his pit stop.
Go on me, nice and easy. Feel free, hold the brakes, right there, right there.
This is where you got to make sure you get the fuel that you need, and not enjoy yourself.
And see, the 2 car had to hesitate when he left, which is going to cost him a little bit on the racetrack because the 99 was coming in.
I'm wondering if the 18 got it all, because they had a really fast stop.
The advantage for Brad Keselowski when those two pitted, 9/10 of a second over second place Kyle Busch. Carl Edwards has made his pit stop under green. Kurt Busch now shown as the race leader with 26 to go. But he and a number of other drivers still have to make a stop. In fact, all the drivers running in the top 10 right now have not been to pit road to make their final stop of the night. Montoya running second behind Kurt Busch. David Rudeman third, David Reagan fourth, and Ryan Newman completes the top 5. But they all have to make a pit stop. 25 to go, and it's getting interesting at Kentucky.
Go, 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 go. They're all the way up, 4250.
Jeff Gordon making his final stop as Kurt Busch makes his exit.
All the way, all the way, all the way, all the way.
David Reagan, Ryan Newman running second and third here. They come to pit road, and Martin Truex Jr. in the top 5 comes right behind him.
1, 2, 3, 4. Go, 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 go. To the ground.
These are all the cars that were running in the top 10 that had yet to make their final pit stop. Dale Jr. was running 8th, and here he comes.
4, 3, 2, 1. Right, hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Go, 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 go.
Denny Hamlin was running second, but now he comes to make his final stop of the night at lap 253.
10 away. 5, 4, 3. Clear out, all clear.
Big time trouble for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Left front tire.
Left side, guys. Left side, left side, left side.
Just came off the pit lane.
And we get the caution.
Yeah.
Our 5th of the night, and boy, does this make things interesting. David Rudeman had yet to make his green flag pit stop.
But they just changed right sides probably on that pit stop. So he probably picked something up coming in or out of the pits.
Yes.
So you see Dale Jr. pitting here to repair the damage.
And let's watch.
Here's when he came in under green.
Gas only, ready, jump in here.
Gas only.
Leave on me, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Go, 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 go.
And
4200.
When you're on old tires, and if you don't change the tires, the danger is picking up something right here. This is where all the garbage and the dirt and pistons off of Jamie McMurray's engine are laying down here.
And it was just a gas and go. He leaves pit road, he runs up on the apron, and instantly it comes apart. So it went flat from the time he left pit road or left his pit stall there.
Juan Pablo Montoya, the first car 1 lap down. He receives the free pass. He was running in the 7th position. So we'll have 7 cars on the lead lap. David Rudeman had not pitted. He last came at 2:04. How about the last 4 weeks for Dale Earnhardt Jr.? Running so good, those runner-up finishes, and now this. 21st at Michigan, 41st at Infineon, 19th at Daytona.
So we're going to have, what, about 20 wave rounds?
From David Reagan on back in 8th.
Hey guys, this is not that bad for David Rudeman because he's going to probably come in here and get 4 fresh tires, and he's going to go out and he's only going to be like 6. So I mean, this is not going to be a bad deal at all for that 00 car.
Well, they played the strategy right by waiting as long as they did to make that last pit stop when they came in at lap 204, Larry.
Yeah, because right now we only have the 6 cars on the lead lap, so he'll be able to hit pit road because I'm sure he's going to have to come for fuel, and they might as well get tires because I think everyone that's already just pitted, even if you're not a wave around, if you're like probably Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Brad Keselowski, Matt Kenseth, and Kurt Busch, you're going to stay out right here because we're going to be less than 10 laps to go.
Yeah, and those guys up front, like Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson, those guys are getting a lot out of their tires. If I was Kyle Busch, I wouldn't change tires because his car's the best when he's got a lot of laps on his tires.
Agreed. You know, and the funny part is, as you look at Stewart and Newman and these guys that have already come down pit road, they get the wave around, they're going to be back in almost the same positions they are because they're a lap down. Yes. I mean, all they're going to do is be put back on the lead lap.
Right.
But track position, they're going to be 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, the same position.
And this restart for the guys on the front road is going to be real important. Kyle Busch can't mess up the restart like he did last time. He's got to get out front.
Chris, David made his stop.
Yeah, just take 2 tires. He said the car has been better when they've just been taking right side rubber, so that was the call.
I do not understand why they did not take 4 tires. The left sides were free because nobody else on the lead lap pitted. I don't understand that call.
And Kurt Busch also going to make a pit stop here.
I think he's looking at it the same way. I'm not going to really lose a position here. He's getting 4 fresh tires.
I think he also had his hands full a little bit more, Larry, than he did earlier in the race. The car looked like it was loose, and I'm sure that they're probably trying to get a little bit more because I think they've lost the handle a little bit from the start to now.
And his teammate Brad Keselowski going to come for 4 tires. Jimmy Johnson also making his way down pit road. That puts driver 18 back on the point. Matt Kenseth right behind him. They didn't pit here, and they'll be up front with less than 10 laps to go when we go green at Kentucky. Sellout crowd at Kentucky Speedway for the first ever Sprint Cup Series race here. Kyle Busch, the race leader. Matt Kenseth restarting second. Those 2 guys did not pit under caution. David Rudeman came down pit road, took right side tires. Jimmy Johnson, Brad Keselowski, Kurt Busch, and Juan Pablo Montoya, who got the free pass, will restart 7th. All those guys pitted, and there were 23 cars that took the wave around. The first of those, David Reagan, who will restart in the 8th position.
Yeah, I think the 18th's in a good spot right here. I mean, if he can get a good restart, I think that's going to be real important.
There'll be
The
8 laps
17's
to
been
go.
good, but he just really, so far they haven't shown the speed to lead. But boy, it makes a huge difference if you can get out front on these restarts. It's a different race car.
And we've heard Kyle talk about it. We've heard Brad talk about it. You know, my car likes clean air, and this has just been one of those places. And I think as bumpy as it was, we didn't think it was going to be. We knew it was going to be aero. Every track is aero. Yeah. But I think we thought it was going to be a lot more handling. But Kyle Busch has hit it. He's been on the bottom of the racetrack all night long.
He's been great all weekend. And here comes Kyle Busch, the race leader. We get the green flag with 8 laps remaining.
Green flag. Inside 17 only, 22's in your mirror. Inside 17 only, trying to make it too wide underneath you. Too wide, too wide, too wide. Clear, 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 clear. Outside, 2 car.
Wow.
Outside, 17, clear, clear. Go get it, bud. Go get it back now. Higher. That looks good. Go inside. Still working the bottom there. And clear. Clear by 3. 6 to go. 5 to go. Inside, spin here. Stay low. Stay low. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, she's out here. Great eyes, man.
Caution out for Clint Boyer, who goes into the wall, our 6th of the night. And it happens with 6 laps remaining here at Kentucky.
It just caps off a miserable night for him because he was not having a good time tonight.
No, and obviously it's hard to tell, but I mean, whether somebody got into him or not, but he has had one of the worst nights these guys have had all year, because they had gotten really consistent of being 8th to about 12th or 13th. He's just
got way up high. It looks like
you see the black marks. You can go back and see the black marks if we can see that again. He just went in, and when he went in, he got up, and the car just began to rotate way early into the corner. Yeah, that's the tail end of it. He had already rotated up out of the groove, up into the gray stuff, and there's just nothing there.
Clint going to take a big hit in the points. Came in 9th and now 12th as you ride on board with Tony Stewart and look back.
Oh, his tire came apart.
Wow.
Here's your problem. Let's go back to see that, because that's the carcass.
On the restart there.
If you saw on the 9 car here out of the back of Tony's car, that's the carcass, it looks like, off of the 33 car. The 33 obviously had a flat when he goes off in the corner, and the carcass ends up on the 9 car of Marcos Ambrose. We're not seeing it, but it's already happened at this point in time.
There again, that's a lot of that coming down, not getting tires or getting fuel only, or there's so much trash and debris down on that apron, and it's hard to avoid. You can't hardly even see that stuff when you're down there, especially in a night race.
Number of drivers making pit stops. Clint Boyer obviously to repair the damage. Landon Castle, who received the free pass. There you see Greg Biffle on pit road. Martin Truex Jr. is there. Casey Kane exiting.
And Biffle, I see Biffle made a pit stop, but I don't know what happened to Biffle out before, but I was watching that in the back there. Biffle almost lost it and lost a ton of track position.
So we were riding on board with Tony Stewart. NASCAR fans voted at sprint.com/speed, and they said they wanted to ride shotgun with smoke, and they got to via the Evo Cam. Fuel your inner NASCAR fan with live in-car audio and real-time stats. Available on NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile and the HTC Evo 4G only from Sprint at sprint.com/speed. So here's what we have. 263 of 267 laps complete here in tonight's race. Kyle Busch is your race leader. Jimmy Johnson second. Kurt Busch, David Rudiman, Brad Keselowski the top 5.
I would be worried if I was Kyle Busch with Jimmy being there now. I would try to pinch him. If I'm Kyle Busch, I'm going to try to pinch him as much as I can going down into 1. So he's got to lift, you know what I mean?
Yes.
To make that car push.
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson, on the other hand, needs to try to get up there as far as he can going into 1, because this is what it's all about right here, is this restart.
Yeah, this is the proverbial slide move. If Jimmy can drive in and take him up a little bit or something like that.
Or at least get door to door with him.
At least get door to door. But you know what? As free as these guys have talked about their cars being getting in the corner, it's tough to make yourself drive that deep into the corner, because everybody all night long has said free in, tight in the middle. And when you get that free feel going in and start to push up and turn that wheel, we saw it on the last restart with Matt Kenseth and a couple of those guys. Car breaks loose incredibly quick in the middle of the corner.
But I think if Kyle's got it, when he comes down into 1, you just don't want to give the guy on the inside much room on a restart like this with 3 to go.
It's okay on restart on lap 50.
Sure.
Yeah.
This is for the marbles.
This is for all the gold and all the marbles right here.
Last time Kyle Busch pitted, lap 239. All those behind him coming at lap 256.
And again, these two guys can get into each other and lift, and then you got a guy in the second row that's going to have a run that can take them both on. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be pretty cool to see what happens here.
David Rudiman and that team have put themselves in position. It's like Zipadelli said, you've got to put yourself in position in the last part of the race. And Rudiman and 2 or 3 of these guys like Brad and Kenseth and those guys have put themselves. Newman's back up there.
2 laps to go, but this is not a green-white checker. We are still in regulation. Kyle Busch, the race leader. Jimmy Johnson right beside him, trying to muscle up and make it happen. Ryan Newman going low around Brad Keselowski, and there's Johnson on the inside for the race lead.
And Kyle's just got a great run getting off of 2. He's got the momentum right there. But boy, Jimmy Johnson had a good restart.
And Ryan Newman had a great restart to make it 3 rounds. You see the left front of the 22 sparking going down the backstretch. Here they are 3 wide in the corner here.
Matt is still struggling on these restarts. He goes wide and high. He's going to have a couple guys go underneath him.
1 lap to go. Kyle Busch the race lead. Johnson and Rudiman right in his hip pocket. Kyle Busch has been strong all night long.
As you look back, here's Carl Edwards up here. There's Jeff Gordon right behind these guys. These guys have come from nowhere to be in this race.
And Kyle Busch going to be the first to put his name on the trophy at Kentucky. He leads coming to the checkers.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. Yes. Woo! Yeah, baby. Good job, David Rudiman. Woo-hoo! Way to go, Dave Rogers.
How about that, Rudiman?
Great job.
Of Kentucky, man. There'll never be an inaugural winner at Kentucky. Great job, Kyle Busch. Great job, guys. Thank you for all your work.
That's a great job by the 18 team. They did a great job tonight. His car, from the time, whether it was hot and slick, whether it was grip, they were the guys to beat all night. Even though the 2 car of Brad Keselowski ran up front, these were the guys that had the total package. But you got to give a shout out. There's so many guys.
Yeah, Newman,
from Edwards, Newman,
all those
Gordon,
guys.
Stewart, Kane. These guys fall back. It's incredible how these guys were so many a lap down at different times and fall back. It may not have been the most exciting race, but the strategy played out, and in the end, a lot of guys salvaged something out of this.
And on the other end of the spectrum, Kurt Busch fades to 9th at the end, and on the restart, I wouldn't have been surprised to see him get after it and go to victory lane.
I just think Kurt lost the handle on that car about 50, 60, 70 laps ago. They just didn't have it. go. Good finish.
Kyle Busch started at the rear after missing the drivers' meeting Friday night, rallied to the front, won the Truck Series race. Wrecked his primary car in qualifying yesterday for nationwide competition, started at the back in a backup, came to the field to finish third. Tonight he started on the pole, and he gets his third win of the year. It's the 22nd of his career. The inaugural winner here at Kentucky, Kyle Busch. And he took him behind the woodshed tonight. Light him up and enjoy the moment. We're going to victory lane when we return. The post-race show coming up. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. We're all done at Kentucky. Kyle Busch celebrating. He said, "Give me that checkered flag," and this is one he'll never forget. His name will be the first to go on the trophy. So much fun. Great run for the runner-up driver, David Rudiman, Chris.
Yeah, and it's 1 day shy of 1 year since David Rudiman's last win at Chicago. And David, it looked like you were just shy of a couple laps of getting the win tonight.
You can always say that, if you had one more lap, but we're just thankful that it turned out like it did. Everybody did a great job. Thanks to Tom's Toyota Racing Development, and Aaron's Best Western, man. I tell you, we haven't really done much this year to make any noise. And new car, new configuration car. All the guys down at the fab shop been busting tail getting things done, and they're a main reason why we ended up finishing tonight. Along with total team effort, great pit stops, great calls by Rodney Childers, and we just a little short at the end.
David Rudiman's best finish of the year. Adam?
Only his second top 10, but he's got to feel good about it, and he was there all night long. Nobody as good as Kyle Busch. He led 125 laps, and he led the last one, Matt.
And he's working on getting himself out of this race car. The first time here in the Cup car. You've got to position that car perfectly. Almost a near perfect night, a truck win on Friday, but this one is special, his 4th mile and a half, and it's the inaugural. And what's this mean to Kyle Busch and his racing resume?
This is cool, man. This is right up there with the best of them. I haven't won the big ones, so this is as good as it gets right now. I can't put it into words. I'm tired. I've been screaming the whole time, man. This is cool. The way we ran tonight was awesome. I can't say enough about everybody at M&M's, everybody at Snickers, Pedigree Combos, Toyota Camry, car built right here in Kentucky, so home of the Camry. Again, Sprint, Gillette, NOS Energy Drink, Marquis Jets. I mean, it was a fun night. It was a tough night. I thought pit strategy was going to kind of go either way sometimes, but there at the end, Dave made the right call and got us the tires we wanted and just the fuel that we needed, and that's what won us the race.
When you look back to tonight, and it just seemed like your team on their game, no matter what segment of the race, you didn't lose the handle of the racetrack. You were either on top or ahead of the game.
Yeah, we were right there, and I credit all of that to Dave Rogers. It's a reason Joey Logano had his success here, and I think I've got it. So it's all a part of Joe Gibbs Racing, though. That's what matters, and these guys are phenomenal. These guys on pit road, they did a great job. The A-team working on this thing. The engineers, everybody back at the shop, they gave me a great effort. We come here, we unloaded really strong. It was really good off the truck. So that's where it all started this weekend. We didn't have much work to do, so it was just kind of simple flowing.
On Sunday morning, when you sit back and you think about tonight, what's going to be the most impressive part of tonight's win for Kyle Busch?
That I won on my way to Slinger. I got to go to Slinger tomorrow, so I'm going to stay here tonight and chill out and get a good night's sleep and get out of here in the morning, head up there, and hopefully win a late model race.
Congratulations. Marty?
Well, I think Jimmy Johnson's kind of scratching his head as to how he finished third tonight. Did you not know that was the last lap of the race?
No, I thought we had one more. The 0-0 was coming and got by me, so I was hopeful I had a shot just to fight for second. I felt like the win was kind of gone at that point, but I didn't see the white, and I came around, and everybody let off, and I was still on the gas and going. I'm like, wow, I guess it's over. So, but a great night for the Lowe's Chevrolet. We had a very solid race car, drove up through the field a few times, raced for the win. The 18 was a little bit better than us when we were on equal tires there at the end. We had a shot at them on new tires, and I think that restart went good for me. if I could have stayed alongside of him going into turn 3 and been side by side off of 4, I would have had a shot at it, but it just didn't work out that way. And if there was another lap, I think 00 was going to go right on by that 18-2. He was coming awfully fast.
Well, considering the night they had on pit road, third, not bad for Jimmy Johnson tonight. Chris?
Oh, and Ryan Newman charged hard in those closing laps, 7th to 4th. Nice run, Ryan.
It was a good last restart. You know, we struggled today, got a lap down, and Tornado Chevrolet was a little off balance-wise, but Tony Gibson and the guys did a good job getting it back right. And then we got a really good break there when the one car blew up, and that got us back in a better cycle, and just had the right strategy from there on out. We had better tires and better fuel opportunities, and just proud of the last restart. I did what I had to do, kept it clean, and a good points day for us too as well.
Did what he had to do and made it exciting.
Ryan Newman, a top 5 finish, and that's impressive for him because he certainly had to battle through adversity to get it, as did many of the guys you see in the top 12 from tonight's race, Wally.
Yeah, there's some of those guys that were way a lap down at one time, struggling back in the 20s and the 30s, and got some good finishes out of it. So the waiver rounds obviously helped a bunch of these guys tonight.
Yeah, and the way the cautions fell, it seemed like the guys with the waiver rounds could pit, then get the waiver round, so they were still on equal tires, which kept them in the race.
Ryan Newman and Jeff Gordon, the two on our first page that jump out to me. Casey Kane leads off page 2. Montoya spent a lot of time tonight in the top 10, finished 15th.
Yeah, that surprised me. I mean, he was up in the top 10 most of this race, and probably disappointed in that 15th spot.
Brian Vickers, 27th. Dale Earnhardt Jr., another rough night. Back in the 30th position. And Clint Boyer, we documented all the problems he had. 35th is where he is in the final running order. Carl Edwards, top 5 run tonight. Marty?
Adam, for a while he was 3rd, and for a while he was 12th, and all of a sudden you're 5th at the end of the race. Kind of crazy there at the end, wasn't it?
Did it look crazy at the end?
It did, yes.
Okay, because it felt insane. I felt kind of bad at the middle of the race. We were all single file, and I thought, boy, all these fans showed up, and you know they're watching these cars run around single file. But we completely made up for that at the end. Right. It was a spectacular finish. I obviously would like to be in victory lane, but to finish 5th, I can't say enough about my guys. Aflac, Kellogg, Scotts, Ford. It did not look good, and then with lots of steering and not a lot of grip, we ended up there. So it was a great finish for us.
How were you able to make that happen?
I don't really know.
Come on now.
Ryan Newman went down near the grass, and I thought, well, that's a good idea, Ryan. So I followed him, and we made it through turns 1 and 2, and then I had a really good game of chicken with Matt Kenseth going into turn 3 on the last lap.
And you won?
Yeah, but you don't want to get in a game of chicken with Matt. I'll tell you that. It's just a wild finish. I'm glad we came out with the 5th place. I haven't had that much fun racing for a while, so that was really cool. Even though it's a 5th place finish, it was a good night.
A game of chicken pays off for a top 5 with Carl Edwards, Ralph.
Brad, you had an incredible run going on tonight. What happened at the end?
Well, you know, it's just it was an incredible Miller Lite Dodge, and led a bunch of laps. I'm really proud of my team for that. The effort that's gone into this weekend, and everybody at Penske Racing has a lot to be proud of. Like they've got a better finish. We're better than where we ended up, but you know, I really want to thank my teammate Kurt Busch. He's helped me a lot over the last weeks and made me a better racer to where I can go out and run as well as we have, and I want to thank him for that. But you know, at the end, it's just, you know, the restarts are a crapshoot. If you get the bottom lane, you're going backwards, and I kept getting an odd position in bottom lane and working backwards, and then you'd drive forward and pass 1 or 2 and be back on the bottom lane. So, you know, just kept playing against us every restart. But all in all, a great effort. You know, we were much better than what we deserved. Led laps, showed how strong this team can be, and hopefully earned some respect.
Great run for Brad Keselowski. So we get through 18 races. Kyle Busch gets his 3rd win of the year. He's the new point leader. He and Harvick, the only drivers that have won 3 times this season. You see Harvick drops back to 3rd, 10 out of the lead. Denny Hamlin in the top 10. That's big as guys look at the wild card. Tony Stewart 11th, Clint Boyer 12th, but you got David Reagan with a win who would move into a wild card position. Brad Keselowski 21st, 1 point out of 20th. If he can get there, he would move into a wild card spot.
Well, they keep running the way they run it. I don't think there's any doubt that they're going to be in the top 20.
Yeah, and if he runs like this consistently, I don't see why he's not going to win another race, because I was extremely impressed with that team tonight.
Yeah, he led 79 laps here this evening, did Brad Keselowski. But in the end, he had nothing for Kyle Busch, who gets his 3rd win of the year. Special thanks to the audio and technical crew, Kevin McCloskey, Dennis Stone. Outstanding effort tonight with our enhanced inside tracks. And next Sunday, NASCAR on TNT off to New Hampshire, noon Eastern time with Countdown to Green delivered by Pizza Hut. We go racing at 1 p.m. Eastern time. It's Sprint Cup racing from New Hampshire. Coming up next on TNT, it's Twister. And as always, you can log on to NASCAR.com for more highlights, interviews, and post-race analysis with our post-race show. Won the truck race on Friday night, did Kyle Busch. Third here last night in the Nationwide car. Dominated to get his third Cup win of the year tonight, and he's going to go run a late model tomorrow. Why not? Thank you so much for being with us from the Bluegrass tonight. For Kyle Petty and Wally Dallenbach, Larry McReynolds, I'm Adam Alexander. Our entire NASCAR on TNT crew saying so long from the Kentucky Speedway in Sparta, Kentucky.